Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a
What's
light
your
on
story?
incredible. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission? Welcome all to accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a light on incredible individuals and organizations and the work that they do. I'm your host, Josh Basil. I'm a C4-5 quadriplegic, paralyzed below my shoulders, and a power wheelchair user. I'm the Community Relations Manager here at accessiBe and a passionate disability rights advocate and trial attorney focused on breaking down barriers to access and inclusion for people with disabilities. Today on accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions, we're joined by Anysa Holder, the Chief Advancement Officer of New Jersey Easterseals. Welcome, Anysa.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Josh. It's great to be here with you.
Well, I'm excited to have you on. Amazing organization, and let's just dive right into it. Tell us a little bit first about yourself.
As you mentioned, I am the Chief Advancement Officer for Easterseals, the New Jersey affiliate. We are a national organization, but we work here in New Jersey, one of the larger affiliates, and we focus primarily on adults with disabilities. And we provide a variety of services that range, the life of an individual. So recreation, residential, we offer residential services. We also offer employment services. Anything that would enrich the life of any individual is what we focus on for adults with disabilities here in New Jersey.
That's wonderful. And thousands of lives that you're impacting. It's incredible.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We're one of the largest providers in New Jersey for disability services.
That's awesome. I'd love to know, do you have any memorable moments or stories of your time working at Easterseals that has had a lasting impact on you?
Yeah, one thing that I love about working at Easterseals is how very mission focused all of our staff are. And that's really a privilege to work with individuals who are so committed to a cause. I remember sitting in a leadership meeting once, and we were discussing providing services to a specific group of individuals that one of our funding agencies asked us to support. And this specific group was a little bit controversial, a little bit ostracized, for lack of a better word. And there was some question about whether or not we should provide services to this group. The fact of the matter was, though, that this group did have serious mental health issues. So as we were sort of talking about, how other individuals weren't interested in serving them and questioning whether or not we were, a colleague of mine said, this is our mission. Our mission is to support individuals of all disabilities, whatever they are, whatever their needs are. That is our mission, and we need to do this. And from that point on, it really stuck with me, and it really taught me that, true advocacy is unwavering, it's solid, it's firm, and it's relentless. And if you are really going to support individuals and their rights, you really have to be all about it or not at all.
Well, and it's a true testament of when you were put into that situation, what you did, the actions, the decisions you took. And right. It's, I just love that you made sure that people didn't fall through the cracks, that they were supported, and that they can be a part of this world and in a safer way. And that's just, it says a lot about Easterseals, especially New Jersey. So I love that. And what first comes to mind for you when you hear the word accessibility?
For me, the first thing that comes to mind is equity, and the importance of creating equal opportunities for people of all abilities, both visible and invisible. Because often invisible gets forgotten when we're talking about the topic of disabilities. Accessibility really means crafting products and services and environments that are inclusive and they're welcoming to everyone. It means breaking down physical and social communications barriers and just making sure that everyone can fully participate in society. That's equity and access to me. And that's what I think about when you say that word.
And as the Chief Advancement Officer, what are the different ways that you are advancing kind of Easterseals, but what are some other lessons learned that you could share to help other organizations that want to keep moving into the future and having that diversity, equity, inclusion kind of goals?
One of the greatest things I would say as it relates to disability specifically, a couple of things actually. I have too much to say maybe, but in this case, I think nothing without us, nothing for us without us, I believe the saying is, there's a saying that goes similar to that.
Nothing about us without us.
Without us. Thank you so much. When we are setting policy, when we are considering how we need to restructure our communities, our businesses, it should be absolutely incorporating the voice of individuals themselves of the different communities. And so in this case, if we're talking about people with disabilities, they need to be a part of the conversation as we are changing and moving forward.
And what is something about you wish people knew more about people with disabilities that they do not know?
So people with disabilities are often subject to negative stereotypes, discrimination, as we know, and it really limits the types of opportunities and their self-confidence, you know. So one thing I would want people to know is that individuals with disabilities are still very capable of achieving their goals. They're very capable of contributing to society in meaningful ways. All they really need is the right support and the right accommodations. That's what it comes down to, the right support and the right accommodations. And they have the ability, just like anyone else, to excel in a variety of different fields and really make valuable contributions to their communities.
Love that. And for organizations to do better around awareness building, can you talk some strategies to do that? And why is it so important to bring awareness to the world?
Well, I feel like it's not just about, it is about providing accommodations, but it's also about changing hearts and minds and dispelling stigma. And I think a lot of ignorance comes from a place of unawareness and lack of engagement with people outside of your world. So exposure is the answer to, I think, a lot of discrimination, ignorance, racism. Once you have the opportunity to sit at a table with someone and understand their perspective, understand their lifestyle, understand where they're coming from, it changes your heart and your mind. You know, it changes your perspective of that individual and their capabilities. We recently had a situation like that when we were able to sit at a table with individuals who were different from ourselves and totally change our perspective on where they were coming from. And so I do think that's a great strategy for anyone, much less, you know, communities that you are unfamiliar with or outside of your world of experience.
I love that exposure aspect.
Yeah.
You know, being able to immerse more people with disabilities in the community, in the workforce, you start turning heads, start having conversations, start learning from each other. It's like, let's have a dialogue. And if everyone can make the world a little bit more inclusive, what's that? What could that be?
If everyone could make the world a little more inclusive, honestly, as I mentioned before, it would be just to listen to individuals who are not like you, listen to individuals with disabilities, value their perspectives and their experiences. Too often people with disabilities are overlooked or they're excluded from important discussions, I feel like, and decisions that affect their lives. By listening, I feel like their voices are involved and included in things like policy, program development. And I just think overall we can create a more effective and inclusive world for everyone if we're all just able to listen.
I love that. And I feel like that goes for anyone, right?
Yeah, anyone,
Anyone.
100%.
And there's a lot of gaps within the business world. And what are some of the biggest gaps occurring with prioritizing access and inclusion with businesses?
So I think I agree with you. I think there's several gaps. You know, for starters, I am glad to see that DEI has taken priority within a lot of organizations right now, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But I do think more often than not, the disability is excluded from that conversation. And I wish and I want to make sure that they are always included in any conversations and initiatives in regards to equity and inclusion within the corporate world. I also think mental health is sometimes specifically left out from the DEI conversation, and so is neurodivergence. And my hope is that they will continue to prioritize and incorporate that population and their needs as well. I would also add that another thing that could be missing from priorities, again, is just not having the voice of individuals with disabilities themselves as a part of this decision-making process. I think companies can be too focused on, are we following regulations? And then are we applying accommodations according to regulations? But are you doing more than that? And are you listening to the people within your ranks or outside of your ranks and bringing in additional voices to say, you could be doing more, or here's another approach that you could be doing that goes beyond just regulations or accommodations? If that makes
It's
sense.
so important that businesses, with what you're saying, like when they do approach diversity, equity, inclusion, and including disability within that, it's not doing it just to be a checkbox.
Right.
It's making sure that this is something that you think about, you listen to, you talk about, you try to build within the culture of your business.
Yeah.
So it can grow as you grow.
Right.
And your employees could grow with you, their families can grow with you, your customers, like there's millions of people with disabilities with billions of dollars. Let them feel included and they'll spend more money. They'll
Right.
want to be a part of your journey.
I hope for a day where we're not even having to pinpoint any of these things. It's just naturally woven into the culture of our organizations. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. So as of right now, it takes conversations like these to remind individuals that we must be a part of the conversation. It has to be a part of the conversation until that day that we don't need it to be, because it already is.
And it's the reality of the world with disability. It's not a matter of if, but when disability can either impact you, someone you love, a coworker. It's just our bodies are fragile. Our bodies age. Yeah. There's many different types of abilities out there, and the more that we get to welcome in, we start to do something special. Yes. And it's just not always, in the past it might have been the same conversation, the same customer you expect to show up again and again, but like people with disabilities statistics have shown are the most brand loyal community. They come back again and again when they're taken care of.
Huh. Not surprised at all. Wonderful to hear that.
And what do you wish brands and businesses could do more regarding accessibility and inclusion?
I'd like to see more, as I mentioned, of a proactive approach to promoting not just disability inclusion, but also a proactive approach to promoting disability rights, a proactive approach of promoting or breaking down barriers for individuals with disabilities across the spectrum. So we're talking about not just physical spaces, their actual physical spaces, but also their digital spaces, their websites and their forms and their chat bots and you name it. Are they all accessible to the disabled population? And are they promoting disability inclusion internally as well as externally? Is it a part of their core values? Is it a part of their daily business practices? So just being a lot more proactive and a lot more in depth and covering all the bases.
I love that, Anysa. And Anysa, thank you so much for being our guest today on accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions. I really enjoyed you and your conversations. It's a good time.
Yes, it was a great conversation. I could talk all day about this, and I know you can too. So.
And we probably should do it again with that being said. But Anysa, thank you. And to all of our guests, thank you so much for staying to the end of accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to follow us at accessiBe_community. And as always, thank you so much for being on this journey with us. Take care, everyone. Bye.